Thank you, Senator Reed. Senator Fischer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Secretary General, welcome. The Army was already undergoing significant changes prior to the April 30th letter from the Secretary of Defense. I understand that we've had some success in increasing experimentation and getting soldier feedback early in the acquisition process. This results in more intuitive capabilities, easier for soldiers to use. How does the Army Transformation Initiative build on the transformation in contact efforts so that technology can be delivered into the hands of the soldiers faster?
Senator,
Mr. Secretary.
It is all built off transformation and contact, and all built in as many instances as humanly possible off what soldiers have actually told us. So if you look at what the most successful small, medium, and large businesses in America do, particularly if you looked at the venture capital-backed ones, what they would have is this concept called minimum viable product, which is this idea that if you have an idea, get a prototype as quickly as possible and get it to your end user. And what we have tried to do, and what the Army has done really well, I think, or I hope, is to get things we are testing into the hands of our soldiers as fast as possible. General George and I were with an autonomous software company that designs essentially the software for autonomous vehicles about a month and a half, 2 months ago at this point, and we saw what they had. We asked if they had ever put in an Army vehicle. They said no. We got them a vehicle 5 days later. 10 days later, they sent us a video fully automating our Humvee and our ISV. We got it in the hands of soldiers all within 3 or 4 weeks, and we're currently learning from that. And so that, to us, is how we will actually quickly innovate and change our Army to face today's threats.
Will you tie in the command and control to that as well? Are you working with any specific private industry to be able to do that?
Yep. Senator, we're working with a bunch of companies that are doing that. Again, you know, for all of this, I think what we're learning is we're going to have to pass data very rapidly. So, I mean, I think the network to us is foundational to everything we do. You know, if you're going to sense, you have to decide, and whatever you're going to do to act, the network is central to that. I wanted to just add on the lessons. I mean, besides just the equipment, for us, the biggest change is actually having developers that are right there with our soldiers to see what works. We're seeing what the battery life in a cold environment versus the humidity that's, you know, out there right now in the Pacific. So we're seeing those. We're changing how we're organized. We know you can be seen anywhere on this planet. How we're going to reorganize our formations, we're learning that. And how do we better train our soldiers to operate in EW environments? How do we better train FPV operators? All of that. And again, we have to constantly, that's where in the continuous transformation mode.
Okay, thank you. We saw a long-range hypersonic weapons test in June and December of last year, and I was encouraged by the success of those tests. Do you still anticipate, Mr. Secretary and General, fielding that capability by the end of fiscal year 25?
We do, and one of the things we're also excited about is we're testing a new version of it that is 1/10 the cost, and we think has even better attributes. And so it would be early to know whether it will work, but we're optimistic.
In your written testimony, you highlight that the Army's mid-range capability system, it's been deployed in the Philippines since April, I think, of last year. Can you provide us with an update on that program and when you expect additional batteries to be fielded?
Again, Senator, that's another thing that we're looking at a total of 5 batteries, and what we're also doing with that is same thing with continuous transformation. How do we make those systems smaller? How do we tie them in better? How do we make them so that they're more mobile? That's what we're working on.
As you're testing these different capabilities, these new capabilities, do you have some of these businesses, you said they were alongside soldiers and being able to see the real-time effects. So as you're testing these things in real time, and you understand the field battle that you may be facing in the very near future, are you also soliciting not just comments from industry, but also to continue to solicit those comments from soldiers as well? And have you been able to make changes in any of these capabilities that you're currently testing?
Yeah, we both wanted to push it,
I
put
know,
the
you're
trigger
going,
on
yes.
that one. We have done that. I get one of the things, for example, that, soldiers said, hey, listen, it would be better to have an autonomous system or an optionally manned vehicle that could move around and could do those things. Hey, we need the command and control piece of this to be smaller and more mobile. And so we're making those changes. And we've had companies that have actually gone out, and this is about leveraging commercial industry to do this, that have made those vehicles and then brought them out to our formations, and we're testing them. And again, getting them to our soldiers is the most important thing we can do.
Great, thank you. The chairman's going to gavel you out, Mr. Secretary. Thank you very much.
Of course, witnesses can supplement their answers.